7 o'clock, I suppose we should call the meeting to order. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Or any additions?
Sure, I motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Moved and
I
seconded.
don't.
Now, just wait a minute.
What happened to the dog park?
I can't
It's not on
get my computer started yet, so I'll do this by hand. Okay, so Kim was first for agenda,
Brent was second.
Brent was second. And is Aaron the only one not here?
Looks like it.
Now, is his last name Easley or Daisy?
Daisy.
Daisy.
Okay, you told me Easley.
No, I told you.
No, because I had it Daisy, and you're like, that's wrong, that's not his last name. And it was probably
I didn't
talking
even
about two
notice.
different people. You probably thought I was talking about somebody else.
On the email, she's got Daisy, but then
I had the
you
wrong name.
renamed him.
I did resign.
Okay, we will add item J under continuing business of dog park.
And I usually second everything.
Okay, do you
I thought
need
I
another pen?
organized. We got one now. I left while before the battle began, so.
Cool. All right, so it's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda with the addition of item J, dog park. Any other additions?
Okay, it's on there.
Otherwise, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Minutes should be in front of you as Georgia has given any additions or corrections to our October 13th minutes. And there were minutes also that came out, I guess, of the October 27th.
Yeah.
And sorry, I didn't print those out.
Did anybody not get a chance to read them? Because I can read them.
They're all good.
Just one, second page under the tree plantings discussion, Adam Ledford is the city administrator, not city
Okay.
clerk.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Anything else?
any other additions or corrections to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second,
Seconded.
all in favor, say aye. Okay, we move on. Okay, continuing business. We talked about trying to do a movie project. Last time we talked about, I did get a submit to Community Chest a request for money for an outdoor, for a screen that could be used either indoors or outdoors. We talked about $1,000 in our last meeting and talking to Debbie McBride, who coordinates Community Chest. She said, well, 500 is about what we do, so I made it a $500 request instead of 1,000. Because I think it seemed like it's better to request something that is within their parameters of what they're doing. So that has been turned in. Now, Georgia, you had information about,
I'll have to read that to you. Okay. I will find it. So do you know what you're doing, what else you would want to do with $500 won't be enough, so what else
well,
would you be doing for fundraising or whatever?
That probably depends on how short we are.
let's see, what we said in our application to Community Chest.
So it's not that long of a description.
Was that funding would come from additional private donations that would not be solicited door to door. Because you can't solicit door to door in the Community Chest. But, and I know at least one person had talked to me and said, if you need funding for a project, let me know, I can come up with some money. So I mean, I think there might be some people that way, so it would be coming from additional private sources, I think.
Okay, so the specifications on the projector that has been offered by Denise and Ross Opsel, it is an Acoustimax 5.1 home theater, and that's ACOUSTI max, 5.1 home theater. A 5-speaker surround sound, and an Opta, OPTA, Vision HDMI-80 LCD projector. So that is what it is. I believe it's like a ceiling mount or a, whatever kind of projector, you know, that projects on this way.
Well, that would mean we'd have to have a building somewhere to be mounted.
You'd have to have it on something, or
Yeah.
sitting on something.
I mean, it would be possible to do something with it, I would think, without looking at the specifications of it. You should probably do something on the top of the building with it, for sure. I mean, it's,
We'd have to have an awful long thing to bring it down to where the screen is though, for the projector.
If
Well-
if it's donation, the price is right, we can,
I was just saying, it
Yeah.
can sit on the
Something
table,
order.
it doesn't
We've got
necessarily
enough
need to be from the ceiling.
Oh, because I thought it said a hanging
No, you
one.
can make your own.
Well,
yeah.
in a
Suspension
normal house,
deal.
it would be.
Yeah.
but, I mean, but you can,
You can build all kinds of things to
Yeah.
make it work.
You build a frame to hold the screen, build another frame to hold the projector.
We can do it.
Good, I just heard about that this last 2 days, is that if you believe you can do it, that's the most important thing.
so,
If you're
what,
not willing to try, you aren't going to get there,
so, do we need, yeah, what is the status of the offer with Opsals and the projector and?
I just told them that I would make you aware of what they had and that it was your decision.
I mean, do we, I mean,
So it's up to you if you want to wait until you get the other parts of this going, or if you're pretty sure that you're gonna have enough money to get whatever kind of screen you want, and you wanna say yes now. I mean, you can say yes now, or no now, or you can say yes later, or no later, it's up to you.
well, I think we could, I mean, I think we could build a screen if we had to.
Oh, I think so.
I mean, at Bobby Wells' house on Halloween, they had an outdoor screen that was there, that was made, I think was that around PVC type pipe? or what?
Right, I think so. From when I walked by, it looked like it was a PVC pipe, which is what we had talked about that night at the movies,
Yeah.
is it would be pretty easy to build one out of that, and lightweight.
You know, I mean, as long, my understanding, we would give them a letter saying that they had donated this, we can't put a valuation on it, is my understanding.
That's up to them to put the value on it.
But we would, I mean, we would probably need a motion to accept it.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, now is when we should be doing the discussing, and that's good. I guess, what are your plans for storing this? Making it available to people other than ourselves? Would it be to other groups in the county, like 4-H or anybody else, or do you wanna just kinda?
As far as storage goes, I would say there's a storage room right there that it would fit in.
Here, in this building?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Plenty of room at the chamber office too.
Yeah, there is plenty of room at the chamber.
Yep, I mean, either one, yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry, my peripheral vision is,
That's fine.
you know, I
Library.
mean,
Oh, the old library, okay, I'm like,
Yeah.
where is it?
There's lots of storage there.
Yes.
yeah,
Is this the screen you'll be watching this thing?
yeah.
Is this like the projector part or just the sound part?
This is the projector part, and
Speakers. There's a
The
sound
sound
system.
and the screen.
there's the Acoustimax 5.1, I think what that is, it's like a DVD type player that also has an amplifier with speakers and sound in it.
Okay.
The HDMI projector would be just like an in-focus machine, or, I mean, I spent way too much time dealing with those lately. Okay, so I mean, we could store it here, we could store it at the chamber. What would people's feelings be about letting other groups use it?
I think it's a good idea if another group wants to use it myself.
I would probably agree, you know. At the core is, you know, we as a committee are supposed to be fostering the community involvement. And if there's a community group that wants to put on a program, that's our little way of helping.
When we borrowed the screen from Lorenz, I wrote a check for $50 that she just held, and so we brought it back. We were fortunate that the company that makes these provides free parts.
A whole bunch of them too.
A whole bunch of them, so they got extra ones.
They did.
But that's something to consider. If you let other people use it, how are you going to deal with the damage? Are you going to ask them to make some kind of deposit? Are you just gonna take care of it yourself, or deal with it, or what? How do you feel about that?
I know they said when we picked it up too, that they were gonna meet and discuss about having, you know, like even charging $50 or something for the use, especially with our group, I think, maybe not within the city of Lorenz, but because we were a
You
ways
weren't in their
away.
county.
Yes, so we took it away from them, and they said they were gonna start making an agreement with other groups and charging them a little bit of something, but I don't know.
Well, I
Are
guess,
there any restrictions on community chest donations? Like, they were afraid that they couldn't actually really charge us because they'd used grant money to buy it.
there would be no restrictions on the community chest that I know of. I mean, they're just there to help organizations. And as I wrote the community chest, it was to help get the movie project up and running. We could use the money for licensure, we could use the money for, I mean, there would be, I wrote it pretty generic. I would think, I guess one question I would have is how would it be, I mean, if we agree that it can be signed out, who will be the contact person to sign it out? And I think maybe just an agreement that they agree to bring it back, and they get they brought it in or something, I mean, you know, I don't,
If they damage it, they repair it, something like that. I don't think we
I
really need
think
to
it's too
charge
soon to
anybody.
start planning it, we haven't even got the stuff yet.
well, I guess if we're going to, if we vote to accept it, if it doesn't come to us, that's all right, but it's at least maybe nice to know what, if we get it,
So we have a plan.
If we get it, and the next week somebody says, hey, I hear you have this projector, we kinda need to have a plan of how we're gonna deal with that question. But I think that's probably the way to do it, that, you know, can be checked out and borrowed with the understanding that it will be returned in like condition. And
Do you want to try to earn some money from this? I mean, we may need to be doing some things to earn some money at some point, like
well,
just
Maybe
charge 10
outside of
bucks
the community.
outside of
See,
Sac
that's what-
City.
Yeah, I hate to charge, so
Yeah.
like,
You
let's
know-
say if it's 4-H, I really,
I guess my feeling,
I hate to charge them.
and I don't mean to be dictatorial, rather than charging, if, say, you know, we have this available, you may borrow it, there's no charge, but donations are accepted.
Yep.
That works.
Sometimes you get a lot, you know, that way you're not saying, oh, we've gotta collect this much of it, you know, there's no charge, but if, you know, if we feel so moved, the donations are always appreciated for other projects we're doing.
And it only goes to groups, right? Not to individuals.
Well, good question.
You know, I don't know, if Kim wants to have a party for her kids and
Yeah,
show
I don't
movies
know.
on their garage,
I don't know. People wanna watch the Hawkeye game or the Iowa State game in their backyard, I don't know. It's up to you guys.
I would say nonprofits for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that we want to,
I don't think we wanna open it up to individuals. I think
I don't
then
think
you're,
so either.
you may never see it.
Right.
Well, we could always change your mind later and just,
Can always
let's try
revise.
groups now and see how that goes and later on.
So what I'm hearing, kind of the consensus is that we would be willing to loan this out to groups with something saying that they would return it in the condition that they got it. It would need to be to groups. There wouldn't be a charge, but donations might be welcomed if we're there. It could be stored either here or at the chamber office. Where's it, how do we want people to, who do we want to contact? I mean,
Well, that I do think you can wait for
Yeah.
legal
Yeah.
probably. And I also have down that depending on the funds that would be needed to buy a screen, or what we would need to do to make this home theater work, we might use volunteer help to build the screen, or at least to build
The frame for
the
screen.
case or the stand or whatever for the theater.
Is there a screen already in mind that?
Yeah,
like,
this
what
comes with
exactly
a
like-
screen.
no.
No.
Oh, I thought it said home
No.
theater screen.
Well, no, it's just,
The place that
just-
we borrowed the frame, or we
Yeah,
got
is
it,
that the type of
you
a screen?
can buy just the screen, I believe, I don't know
Yeah,
what it costs, but I think you
I
can
Well,
just
I
get the
just wondered
screen.
I
that
did-
type of price range we were going.
I was looking at, I spent one online looking at screens, and you can get a pretty decent screen, like big enough for the Chautauqua building or something like that, for $500.
Okay. And I think we're on a good path there.
Yeah. Okay, so it's been moved and accepted to, moved and seconded to accept the audio video equipment from the Opsals. Any other discussion? You look puzzled.
I can't find an Acoustimax projector online. I can only find,
Acoustimax is the home
The
theater.
projector's the Optivision.
got it, okay, thank you. That's it.
If there's no other
Did the
discussion,
same
all in
thing,
favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
and I sent the email out to you guys, so if you really want to look at those 3 lines printed out, you can look at them on your phone.
Okay, so
it's-
that's,
it's done.
so do you want to contact the Opsals since they've been in contact with you, Georgia?
So we need to write a letter or speak with them and tell them we'll send them a letter.
Mhm.
And we'll write a letter of acceptance for their donation. Okay. I'll probably have you look at that before,
I've got a template if you need
yeah,
one.
okay,
I can pull one at church that we use all the time, and
okay. So I'll get a template from you.
basically has to say that no tangible resources were received in exchange for this donation, and, you know, the IRS verbiage that you like
Okay.
that. Okay, Raccoon River Access River Promotion, that's kind of a next spring kind of thing, we can probably
Yeah.
cruise through that. Painting project, I did talk to Paul and Christian yesterday, and they are really thrilled at how much improvement, they think it just looks great, and they really are very appreciative of that.
Are we done with painting?
We could still, there still is a little more gold there that would be really nice to get. You gotta look pretty hard for it, but it would be nice to get it.
It's getting too cold now though for it.
Depends on what the weather does.
I don't think the paint will dry.
Are we talking
Yeah.
way high up?
And there's a few spots up on the inside, and the most awkward one, the one I'd really like to see us get somehow is, it's on that end of the side of the porch. There's just a spot up there that is just hard to get to.
Like if we made brownies for the tuck pointing guys, would they take their little machine over there?
That's a CDBG grant, I'm not gonna touch that one. No, not gonna touch that one.
Okay. You never know.
Nice thought.
I mean, would you need a cherry picker type thing or
No, you just need a
really tall ladder?
ladder, I mean,
Someone who's brave enough to climb it after.
or somebody that's not afraid to climb up there, I guess. I don't like heights.
No, it's not happening.
Sidewalks, I know we talked some last time about, we've been talking about a sidewalk project in town for some time.
Those people have never gotten back to me, so I'll have to contact them again.
I saw something on the television I'd never seen before. I don't know what it's made out of, but some kind of foam that they push underneath the sidewalk to lift it up and
Staple it.
Level it.
roll Mud
has
jacking,
anyone
basically.
else ever heard of that?
It's, they do it with mud a lot of times.
They do?
I'm like, I realize that they're using foam for that one.
They use some kind of expanding.
Yep. I've seen, I haven't seen it done, but I've seen it. It's,
Do you want to see it done?
I haven't personally seen it done, is what I'm saying. So on larger slabs, they do it, they'll drill a hole in and inject mud in under high pressure and raise the whole slab. It's really cool, but
I mean, how is cost of that compared to,
no idea, but my guess would be probably cheaper to just cut the concrete out and re-pour it.
That would be my guess too.
I mean, it would be wonderful if we could find something that was an affordable way to get people's sidewalks fixed. I mean, you know, I know that a lot of people would love to have new sidewalks and probably can't afford it, you know.
Yeah.
There are ordinances in place that say, yes, you have to maintain your sidewalks, I understand that.
Or at least with rubber ones, they don't have to worry about replacing them, because they can just pick up the part that's,
There's not a local contractor that can put rubber down. You'd have to bring a contractor in
well, the company would do it.
Yeah.
for a fee.
It'd be nice to be able to find something that was a local person, that, you know, local business could do though.
Do you know anybody who uses those Go Mako machines from over by Ida Grove for sidewalks? Because they make them for sidewalks too.
No, I haven't seen any of them personally, no.
I know a kid that goes around and sets them up.
The little ones for the sidewalks?
I think he's done that too, but yeah, he's done both.
The
And I'm
big
sure they
ones?
just use going up in Storm Lake, now that I think about it, for the trail.
Yeah.
I mean, either the rubber or the permeable cement does have some grant opportunities that,
Yeah, if you have permeable sidewalks that will let the water through, you can get extra money for that. In fact, Cedar Falls is putting paving in their alleys using that, because that's basically the only way they could get the money.
I mean, there's several kinds of, some of the permeable ones are the blocks with the stuff between. Those, I'm told, are kind of a pain to maintain because you have to keep them packed with sand to keep it. But,
Charles City has used them also after the flood. I think they got FEMA money. If
Kingsley
you
just,
wanted cities to call and ask.
Kingsley just did a full alley project with it, with the permeable blocks. And my company was involved with that project, so I have some knowledge of it, but it's not a ditch, so I didn't work with it.
it's not a what?
Ditch.
Oh, okay.
Ditch. D.
Well, Disney World put them in one of their resorts, All Star,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're very nice to walk on, and they're very quiet.
I was gonna say, what about Tartan? You know, they put that on tennis courts and track.
Yep. The,
So many feeling stuff.
yeah.
I mean, that's pourable or whatever, isn't it?
I
I think it's a
think so,
liquid when
yeah.
you put it down.
Yeah, but when it hardens,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Okay,
not gonna be
well-
permeable.
Are you still our research person?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You know somebody maybe?
I'll talk to him and see if he does anything.
If he knows any local people that use that equipment? Okay.
Well, I think the closest one was Minnesota.
Yeah, that's kind of hard. That's what it's-
Okay, tree planting, we talked about trying to do some beautification stuff on the entryways, particularly the west entryway in town.
Yes.
And there was
Some of
a,
that.
there was a proposal that showed really some beautification with trees and things happening along the west side of town, and that wouldn't be obviously until next year, but it's probably something that maybe we need to begin to explore some grant funding for now. Would there be a subcommittee that we could get together that would just kind of look at some grant options and some of that, so that,
Yeah.
Brent and Eric?
Brent and Eric, if
Same
you
as
would.
harvest gets over.
Yeah, well, I know, I mean, I understand that, but I'm just saying that, I mean, I think that might be something if we could get
Get the ball rolling,
get the ball rolling. I know that grant writing and stuff doesn't work as a large committee. It's
I
like,
will email you the community funding grant program book that Community Visioning and Trees Forever puts out. I can email you a copy of that.
and I have a feeling that Tammy is probably pretty good at proving things if need be too.
After the fact, yeah.
I didn't have her as a teacher in high school. I'm glad I didn't because I had the other one. She's no longer with us.
Oh,
I learned so many things from her.
Anyway,
What?
All kinds of things.
Academic?
I can't tell you that.
But I think maybe our best, I mean, if that's agreeable, I mean, I think if we can just get a subcommittee to focus on that and,
have the, I think I've missed the last at least one or two meetings.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing we mentioned when we first brought this up was that we were gonna talk to the folks out on the west side of town like Donovan, Detman.
I don't think they have been contacted directly at all. I mean, that's, I did talk to the city, they don't really have a problem with the trees. Their greater problem was some of the wildflower options, just in terms of how to maintain the wildflowers. That was, thinking if they had to be burned off quite regularly or something, and
I don't see them burning off wildflowers on the interstate.
She actually does have a good point when they put them in on 196, unless they have one, I didn't see them, I've never seen them burn, of course now it's all tore up, but they had those sewn for quite a few years.
I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just,
So,
I mean, I don't know, we probably need to do some research, and we'd have to get the right kind of wildflowers there growing. I mean, it's,
okay.
There's actually, when you get into that, there's actually, it's rather fascinating, the wildland biologists have, they know the cycle of wildland. They can tell you, you plant it, in the first year, this flower will show up, and in three years, this one will show up, and this one will start to die out, and then this will show up, and then you burn it off, and the whole cycle repeats. It's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, I don't know that one.
yeah, I mean, I
That's
think,
also on a larger scale than a roadside planting.
yeah, right. So I don't know, that was just the one concern that I got. Anything else on the tree plant, I mean,
so what I have for Brent and Eric is look at funding and contact landowners. And do that sometime before February maybe, or?
Mhm.
well, and maybe begin looking at some funding first if we, you know,
Oh, yeah.
Well, they can be done in tandem.
yeah. Recreational trail. Anything else we need on tree planting, I guess, before we
No,
move
but you
on?
skipped one. National Night Out.
Oh, sorry, we did skip that one.
Yeah.
We'll go back and get it in a minute.
I was
Okay.
gonna say, is that the same as last time? It's in September?
National Night Out, I mean, that's just kind of, that's kind of there as a marker, I mean, if we want to,
Keep in mind for next year.
Yeah.
Coincide, yeah. Okay.
and so, to be honest, when I put some of the agenda stuff together, I put it there so that we don't lose track of it.
And I'll, I can kind of through the winter months, talk with the other public safety entities in town. And we've got some other projects that with the fire departments kind of starting to work on that we'll be having discussions and can get that ball rolling too.
Good. Recreational trail. We did take a step at council tonight to actually establish a recreational trail committee in Sac City, knowing that there's a desire to do that. So we actually now have a city committee which is going to be working on that, which I'm sure would be welcoming any support that we could give. What are people's feelings about recreational trail? I mean, I know that, I'll just, there are three things that I have kind of overheard, maybe, I know I've heard of trying to connect us to the Great Lakes, I've heard of us trying to connect us to Sauk Rail Trail, and I've heard about trying to do an in-town trail. I mean, I've heard all three of those possibilities, and ideally maybe getting all three of them done. But what do people feel would be the best starting point?
Level ground.
That doesn't work that way.
Well, honestly, I think wouldn't you wanna start around here and get that done and out of the way with first one, and that way later you do have the option to.
Establish the trails locally, get
Yeah.
people using them, and then you can leverage that to support for the longer connecting trails.
Exactly.
So what's your goal with your trail? Is it to attract outside people to come to town and use it, or get people to move here because we have this cool trail? So what's your why, I guess? I also learned that the last 2 days. You always have to have a why for your what if you want people to go with it. So what's your why? What's your value? What are you hoping for?
Dan?
Anybody?
I think we're all looking at
I think we have a committee member in there.
What's your goal, other than building a trail?
It would just be to, number one, to establish what'll work for a trail in town, where, you know, the route it would take. Number two, to make sure that we're positioned to hook up with the lakes and the Sauk Rail Trail when that time comes.
So you
And-
don't want to put it in a place where that wouldn't be possible?
Well, you know, here's the deal,
That's what I think you're saying.
we're just a pirate committee right now until December 8th. So we haven't had any discussions yet about what exactly would happen. My personal opinion, as a private, non-committee person, would be that we should build a recreational trail that is long enough to be satisfying to ride on. Whether that be a loop around town, or whether we create some kind of spur going out of town.
Okay, but what's the purpose of it? I'm talking about what's the purpose beyond just having a trail?
To attract bicycle tourism.
promote
So,
health and well-being, I suppose.
And a safe place
That's
for you to
a-
take your family to
That's a big
ride.
thing now, I think, especially to put
Okay.
on funding, is trying to
safe,
get healthy.
safe recreation
Mhm.
for your family,
Yeah, or just healthy recreation.
yeah, like a blue zone type deal? Okay, what about, are you just trying to serve the people that already live here? I know we talked about outside people coming in to use it, what about getting people to move back here? Is that part of your goal?
That would,
Well, you know, I
It
mean,
would certainly be
every
some-
amenity that we create would be
When we're
towards
in
that end.
Okay,
There's a lot of people moving back. I've noticed. Actually,
so
I
more
mean, I think
amenities to get people to move back.
Yeah, I think it would have an economic development component, it would have an improved lifestyle for the existing members of the community. And, I mean, I think you're doing it for both the people here and the people who you hope will be here.
Mhm.
I know people that travel all over just to get on bike trails and ride. My husband's boss goes to Minnesota to hop on a good bike trail.
Yeah.
And they will, I mean, or they'll jump on in Lakeview and go clear to Carroll and around Swan Lake, so
Yeah,
I think it would, yeah, it'd bring people to town.
and you've probably heard some of this, but bicyclists happen to be pretty good tourists. They're usually well-educated or kind of natural, people that want to keep the trail clean. They're not gonna be the kind of people that are gonna bother other people's property. Sometimes when you talk to property owners, they don't want people on their property, but they're usually people that take very good care of it. I think the average day trip for a bicyclist involves at least $70 of spending. Has anyone read anything else about any kinds of information on bicycle tourism? That's what I've picked up.
I've heard any place from 70 to 100 is an average.
I was gonna say anecdotally, 70 seems kinda low.
Okay.
I think it depends on, if they're college-age bicyclists, they may not have, you know, they may be getting tap beer.
Yeah. And then
Or
like
trailing
you said, for
cooler.
families, you can take your whole family out in one
It's
place.
safer. A lot of times I load my kids up and the bikes up and we go to Lakeview to ride the trail because you don't have to worry about the stop signs, you don't have to worry about the cars. The biggest thing you have to worry for is the geese. And that's about it. So, I mean, it would
So
be nice to
you can take your
have one.
kids out and kind of keep them at where you
Yeah,
can
you can
see
just
them.
let them go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just let them go and not worry that a car will take them out in the process.
Okay.
What other uses, I mean, I'm told that you need to use the term recreational trail and not bike trail.
Yeah,
What other recreational uses are there for this?
walking.
Walking, rollerblading, cross-country skiing in the wintertime.
Skateboarding, if anybody even does it.
Bird watching.
Oh, longboard is what they do now.
That's what people walk their dogs on it.
Yeah, they do, they walk their dogs on it.
I should do that.
They do.
Be good for me and the dog. Be more
So
neat.
when you're talking about longboarding, that would be like the teenagers.
Not
Mostly?
always.
Or everybody?
Longboarders are kind of not, they're people that have accepted that they're not ramp riders,
Okay.
so they're a little bit older usually.
I don't know, I have some high school kids that longboard.
I mean,
Some
all
of the
ages
kids still
ride
like the
longboard, but
ripsticks too.
it's gonna be in
Yeah.
your mid-20s to 30s guys.
Longboards, they're just longer skateboards.
Okay.
I was gonna
You
say, I
know,
didn't really know
longboard-
either, but I was just faking
I was
it.
underprivileged as a
it out.
I have students at longboards to school, right, I had no idea.
Okay.
I had longboard
It
in
moves
California,
quicker
but
than
it was on the surf.
It moves quicker than a skateboard typically, so you go further faster.
It's got softer tires too, so you can get over rocks better in rough terrain.
I'd still.
It's
break
used
my
like
back.
on boardwalks, on sandy boardwalks.
Okay, so
Just walk.
all those types of.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to talk about non-bicycling uses potentially too.
The other thing that a person could throw in on grant opportunities that would probably look advantageous towards our point of view, down at Lakeview, they have a lot of different things they use, or charity fundraiser events that they have, bicycling, walking that they utilize the Sauk Rail Trail for. We could do that here, say we've got ideas for, different charity, you register and all that registration money goes towards this charity or that charity, and that would also be an opportunity.
Too bad we can't do it along the Raccoon River, but that river floods too much.
Well, I mean, I think that right now we're not talking about the location of it, we're just talking about
The value of one.
the value of
Big
one.
picture.
Well, I think it's important because you are all gonna get stopped on the street, or somebody's gonna get stopped on the street and say, well, what the heck do we need a bike trail for? Our sidewalks aren't, you have to have answers, kind of, for that kind of thing.
If you're a walker, you don't walk on the sidewalks, you walk on the street.
Yeah, the sidewalks aren't that straight to walk on.
But you need to be able to have good answers for people's questions.
And that trail would be nice to have like a nature, like have the bird watching You could actually go off the trail into a little place where you can sit and watch birds and, I mean, those are.
And the deer.
Yeah, those are quite the thing
Well-
anymore too.
And sometimes later on, you could have signs out there. I know Lakeview is working on that, putting out more
They have the benches that are,
educational.
and they have the benches
information.
that they've got money
Interest
towards.
points.
Yeah.
That's their next step for the next fundraiser or grants. Okay.
Review of trunk or treat.
I think it was a success.
It was a lot of fun.
I think it was a fantastic success.
Yes.
A lot of people said, I want to do a trunk next year that walk through,
Yeah.
so.
Good.
Yes.
And we were talking about the count.
It's like between 200 and 250 kids, is that what the
Nope,
count was?
it was approaching 200.
Oh, okay.
We don't have an exact count of the tickets, unfortunately, because of a
Slight mishap.
incident.
Yeah.
But it
Well, I
was,
said all you have to do is count the
That's
ticket
what she
votes
said
and
to
you'll
me,
know.
I
Yeah.
didn't touch the tickets.
it was in the 186 to 195 range.
Some of them are
But
probably
that
still
didn't
on the
count.
bridge.
Well, and that,
And there were quite a few adults that went through that probably didn't get to, I mean,
well, I think there were several kids that didn't vote in the end. They
Yeah.
still had their tickets in their hands when
Yeah,
they
they kind
walked
of kept them
out.
as a.
Yeah.
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 Kids are like that. You give kids a piece of paper and they'll carry it around all day, so.
There were several people that came back, you know, and I saw them walking out holding their paper. Oh, go vote, guys, go. What? What do we do with these?
Yeah. Or they put it in their bucket, so.
Your delivery was off, Curtis.
Yes, I would say there was over 200 kids from my count, but
We went through half the stack in the first 6 minutes. I was
Yes.
very,
Oh, wow.
very challenged to get all of the words out to everybody that was coming by.
But it
Next
was
year we'll
fun.
have a sign up.
That's a really good idea.
But it was a lot of fun, there were a lot of
Yeah.
people and lots of good comments, so. They really enjoyed the cabin that Bruce put together,
The
so.
funniest
You
comment I
used the
got.
cabin
cabin, you
was
used the
actually-
cabin that was there,
Uh-huh.
right?
The cabin was actually something we didn't really consider in the marketing. People were excited when I told them that the cabin was open.
Yes.
So many people haven't seen the inside of that thing, and they were just like raring to go.
I was
They
there
were
all night.
like, the
next time
cabin's
I-
open?
My daughter came out, she says 12 people lived in that cabin, Mom. Can you believe that? I mean, like, it floored her to walk away from that.
I felt kind of bad because I was kind of a mask that was just like, you know, an old kind of gnarly farmer, whatever. First two little girls walked in, they looked at me, one screamed and one started to bawl, and I started to run out. And I went, oh, here, I'll pull this off. And so I didn't have to worry about wearing the mask anymore after that. But,
And by the way, our regional ad that we ran drew in a lot of out-of-town people too. There was a lot of, people were really attracted to the idea of Sac City as a Halloween destination. And that got people in.
And that was your goal, wasn't it, to
Yes.
make it a destination?
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
I know Bobby said there was people from Des Moines and Fort Dodge that were going through her house. So if they made the whole loop around, you know, which
And the
were
nursing
deer.
home was crazy, the way that it sounded, and so was Oak Terrace. I guess the Oak Terrace people cheered when people came in. And they said it was, my daughter was like, it was so much fun, Mom. We walked in, it was like we were celebrities. They were cheering for us. And, yeah, so I think that it was a good time this year, so.
so what are some things we would do differently next year?
And I was gonna tell you that I have another town in Sac County that wants to do one next year, so. They already told me, so.
Well, we planned it in, what was it, 3 hours roughly?
It took us 3 hours.
Yeah, and besides the legwork of talking to, actually going out and talking to people, I think if we had that many cars, I think just starting even a hair earlier and having everyone on board from the beginning.
We should follow up with people that are committing to trunks more quickly than just on the second to last day before the trunk.
Yes, yes, getting the,
There was a lot of, we didn't hear from you, so we just thought we weren't doing it
right,
by the second to last day before the event.
Well, and like you said, you know, next year, you know, do the voting again. Okay, have, instead of solo cups on, because wasn't sure that cup was gonna stay sitting on the bumper of the truck, and I wonder how far down the street I made it before it blew off.
I've bought many pumpkins in bowls on clearance since
Oh.
then.
So like a pumpkin basket.
Yeah, like
this
the
big.
trick or treat buckets.
Yeah.
Because they were like 5 cents at Target last weekend when I was there, so I bought several.
Oh,
The last
You know,
7 they had came home with.
Well, and this time we could have something printed on the pieces of
That's-
paper that
Yes.
said like my favorite trunk or whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
something that caught their attention.
and a sign that we can put as they come in explaining it, that, so Curtis isn't swamped trying to.
Talk to every single person.
Yeah, so I can't imagine if, if all of us in the committee were on board and talking to people, what a turnout we could have had, as far as trunks.
With the
Yeah,
reaction
this
I
was
saw, talking.
This was just me and Kim and Bruce casually talking to a couple of friends that we knew.
Yeah.
Was it still light out when they were down there so they could
Completely.
actually see the
And
decorations
then
and
as
everything?
the end of as the end of it, it was getting darker, so all the lighted up stuff was very much there. It was fun.
It was dark for the stragglers.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
And we went beyond 6:30.
yeah.
yeah,
Well, yeah,
We
people
did.
kept showing up,
yep.
Yeah.
and we weren't getting turned away.
And I stopped handing out the tickets at 6:30.
Yeah,
Well,
so that I
there
could get
was-
count.
Yeah. I know that I went through the majority of the candy that I brought, and I had 12 pounds of candy.
You know, the reaction from people, that I saw as they were leaving, first year we had, what, 10, 12, something like that? I don't think it'd be unrealistic to see 5 years from now that park full, which I think would be awesome.
The only, I had one person ask me why we chose to do it by the cabin and not at the campground area, because of more power sources down there. And that was the only question I really had, was why we chose where we did.
So if they wanted to do something with lights and stuff,
We
We
had
had
power
power.
access.
There was power
There
there.
was.
but I mean, if you had a lot of people that wanted to do that, why did they think you should do it?
Well,
Or,
because I think previous years they've done something with Halloween at the campground.
There was one year where Shelley had people trick-or-treating at campers.
Right, the church, yeah,
And one of, I think the most obvious reason is if the campground doesn't close until the 1st of November.
right.
And I hate to really say, sorry, we're gonna kick you out because,
Well, and I think it was nice right off the highway where people could just pull in.
They could see us.
They could see us, and it was right in between Bobby's and the nursing home and the rec center. It was visibly there.
And for those that were concerned about such matters, I counted no less than 7 times that the police drove past.
It was 18 times.
Yeah, there was a lot of
11.
time.
Yeah.
In
I told
fact,
someone the number. What number did I tell you?
11.
11
I had a
times.
student, my student that was down there, he says, why is there cops every time I look? This is a high school kid, so
Wonderful
therefore.
feedback.
Well, he's a high school
Yeah.
kid doing community service, so it's
His community service just cracks me up, but he really was like, really, why is he gone by so many times?
I had one lady ask her husband where San Diego County was.
Oh, because of her uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she had a really fun trunk with flies and rats. And
So
things
that
going
cabin
on.
loop was really a really unique place to have it. It's not something
Yeah.
that I can ever remember having an event in Sac City at.
No, I think it was perfect.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I don't know, it just felt right.
It was just
Did it just
spooky
feel
enough.
right?
It did. It felt like the right location.
We could easily double the number of trunks in that area and still get people in there.
And I think that we could probably be there for the 2 hours versus the hour. Because I didn't leave much before the end of trick or treat time anyway, by the time it was done with the stragglers.
Okay, anything
Well, I
else?
ran out of mice and flies and lizards.
I had little bats for the kids that were too little for candy, so
Yeah, we just gave them candy.
I gave their parents candy.
Anything else for trunk or treat that we wanna go look at? Last month, we talked about some winter activities, possibly creating an ice skating area or something that we could do.
I have started trying to look in to see if there's a ice skate rental available if we wanted to, you know, one weekend or something. If we were to create a rink in town and have rentals available one weekend, 2 weekends, something like that. I haven't had any success yet, but I'm working at it.
Have you talked to Kyle Erickson?
I
I've
talked,
talked to Chelsea.
Okay,
I talked to Kyle.
okay.
He said, that'd be cool, you know. I'm waiting to hear back from a city insurance company to see what the liability issues are on that.
So this is something that you're saying if you run it indoors at the rec center?
No,
No.
we're talking about maybe like flooding a baseball diamond or
Well,
something.
okay, that's what I was
How
curious.
about the tennis
yeah.
courts up there?
That's
By
what
the
we did in
pool.
Nemaha, we flooded the tennis courts.
Yeah.
The baseball diamonds have the advantage in that they're a lowland that kind of floods naturally,
Yeah,
where the tennis courts are designed to drain.
okay, there you
that's
go.
And there's also
Logic.
a building down here that you could serve hot, do concessions, you know.
That'd be a really good idea, actually.
That'd be fun.
It would be fun.
And a nice, well, I guess, I don't know, I know down at our place at the lake, you know, you just go out and when the lake freezes over hard enough, you scoop off a spot and you sweep it and it's good to go for, you know, mostly for the rest of the year until another snowfall cover thing happens. So that'd be something to get it set up down there and the snow's brush it off a little bit and skate at your own risk. Which that's probably some, the insurance companies will have to see, you know,
What-
signs well posted, but.
You know, what kind of things we have to do to keep the liability happy.
Not put it on a lake?
Well,
No.
Well, I
Getting
figure
nervous.
if the men's club down there, if they get away with the Arctic Open, where you golf on the lake,
Right.
and everybody is hammered, you know,
Unless
they're,
less than sober.
yeah, so, you know, I would think it'd be all right. But, no, I think that'd be an excellent idea, right down here at the baseball diamond. You know, if a community organization wanted to serve snacks out of there, or a school group, I think it'd be great.
Kyle said, well, it might be nice to have some sandbags to keep my snack shack from getting flooded. And I said, yep. But he was all over it. He thought it was great.
What would you use, this would be your engineering expertise, what would you use, or how big of a one do you think, and what would you use around the outside edge?
Algona has done it every year, and they just go out and push snow up and pack it.
Oh,
And then, but you gotta have snow first.
Yeah.
Is there any way the city could get in there if they, off the streets when they, you know, after a big snowfall, they?
dumps,
is
they
there a way-
could dump snow
That's what I'm
around it,
thinking.
Yeah.
if we didn't get a lot.
Yeah, if there's a way.
I would think, they haul snow off of Main Street. I
That's
would
what I'm
think.
thinking, yeah.
Yeah, and they put it down State and Audubon, and then you can't see around it.
Just,
No, they carry, the snow from downtown Main Street goes out.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Curtis?
isn't that full of salt?
There would be that.
Yeah.
Well, they don't typically salt till after.
Or,
You just have to make sure it's good
Yeah.
power, yeah.
And it's not yellow snow.
Some
You're
point
gonna
that
get
might
yellow
have
snow
a
no
wall.
matter what.
But I think
That's
that'd
a
be.
great idea.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
I saw the other night, either Colorado or Utah isn't using salt anymore, they're using beet juice.
Yes,
Wisconsin uses the runnings from their cheese making.
Interesting. So check and see what the insurance says, and I don't know, who would we talk to about getting the okay, I guess, the
I've talked-
city?
I've talked to the city administrator and he's emailing with insurance companies
Okay.
and,
I'd love to see Adam on a pair of ice skates.
You should see that look on her face.
bearing in mind that
could
this
have,
is,
could have a hidden talent.
Yeah.
No, I think, I can't even imagine, I haven't rollerbladed in years, I can't imagine putting ice skates on.
Yeah.
No, but it's great for kids.
Oh, no, I think that it would be a great time, I'd
Oh.
go try it.
Yeah.
If it was a good season, you could have hockey.
Oh, it'd be a lot of fun. I could
There's
see a
a lot
lot
of
of.
possibilities.
Yeah, there is.
So as soon as, I don't know when our next meeting is, it's coming up, but as soon as Adam hears back and you hear back,
Maybe December.
maybe send out emails, even if it's,
Yeah.
If we're gonna-
Okay, so do we have people that would be interested in pursuing this if it
Yes,
is a possibility?
Absolutely,
Yes.
yeah.
I think it'd be fun.
It'd be
Even
good-
as a committee,
good
you
for
could
the-
do
yeah.
the concessions out. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
to do
That might be a
something.
fundraiser that we could do,
Uh-huh.
which is gonna go down to 7 new business fundraising grant opportunities, and that might be a fundraiser for us too.
And it would be fun. It really would be
Easy
fun.
too, to whip it up.
Yeah.
And I can make gingerbread.
Things like that, yeah.
Hot chocolate
Hot
Stuff
chocolate
like
and
that.
popcorn
and, yeah.
And gingerbread. I
All
love
right.
gingerbread.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's Christmas time.
I was thinking about that the other night. Last
Yeah.
time I had gingerbread was at the San Diego County Fair when I was pregnant with Troy.
Is it, is it
Well,
like
that's a
little
long
flat
time ago.
cookie stuff?
No,
kinda?
it's cake.
Just the cake, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
All right, let's
I
go.
think that's a really
Next
good
step.
idea.
dog park.
Well, you said you could walk your dog on your
I think if we're
recreational
gonna do the
trail.
recreation
They have to
trail,
be on a
we don't
leash.
need- Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think they should be on a leash anyway.
Not
They're
the
around
dog
other
park.
people.
That's why you have a dog park, so the dog can run loose inside the fence.
I don't think I'd let my dog run loose even if I was at a dog park.
But what we could do is when this trail gets going, I don't see why if there was a little area that was unused next to the trail, that a fenced-in portion could be made and a little sign right there, dog park, you know, and have it right there along the trail if you want it, and, or close to, close proximity, so. Or what were you thinking as far as?
Well, that's a good possibility.
No, because you'd have too many dogs, different sizes in there. You have to have room for small dogs, medium dogs, and large dogs. And they have to have proof of vaccination.
So that's the hard part about it to me.
No, it's not.
But we
The,
don't,
the biggest hurdle is where do you put it? Cause I've, and yes, I've been to parks where you've got small dog, large dog. You got two divisions. But you're looking at, realistically several acres of ground to do it right.
Out, out there at the industrial park.
Well, first step would be finding out if the city would be amendable to,
Well,
Or
Adam
whoever.
told me 2 years ago when we talked about this, if I could raise $2,000, he'd do the dog park.
well, didn't we talk about whether or not the city licenses dogs also
No,
at
they
one
don't.
point? Because that would be another kind of prerequisite is to
That'd be another.
have
No.
somebody to have a reason for people to have their dogs get their shots or whatever.
I wouldn't register.
Because, well, Curtis and I were talking the other night. All they have to do is get a distemper, parvo, and a rabies shot. And they get a paper. They bring it down to the city gives them,
Their license or their little tag.
no, not even a tag, just a paper to carry with them. That gives them permission to enter the dog park, because they are already registered.
Who's going to monitor
I was gonna
this?
say, if they had a little tag, you could just look at the dog and
Well,
tell.
okay, but I mean,
Who's gonna say,
Who's
hey, your
gonna be
dog's not
there to do
registered,
it,
so we're
yeah.
gonna find, you have to get out.
Because
or-
if we,
Yeah.
no, if we put a combination lock on the gate,
I still struggle with it. And not because I don't think it's a good idea, I just struggle with the big picture.
there's a lot of discussions and there's a lot of things that need to be kind of figured out to move forward.
Which is why I moved to refer this item of business to a committee. We can, Cricket, if you'd like to lead it, and it can be from people outside of this, because I'm sure there's other people in the town that share your sentiment. I know I got some friends here that would like to see that. And get a committee together, and if you've already talked to Adam, the groundwork's laid that,
Yeah.
he'd like $2,000, and that way we can go from there. If there's a second.
I'll second that.
it's been moved and seconded to form a committee to investigate a dog park with Cricket. Anyone else wanting to serve on this with her? Eric will? Okay.
And if anybody else knows people that would be
Yeah,
interested,
that's
you
what
can
I'm-
give them her contact
Yeah.
information. That's one thing I wanna do before we leave, I wanna make sure everybody has everybody else's cell phone number. Because that is the fastest way to let people know something is text them.
Not my cell phone, because it's in the car turned off unless I go.
Okay.
You know,
So is email better for you?
email or my home
Okay,
phone.
so let's, getting back to where we are, we have a motion and a second on the floor.
Yep,
So it's been moved and seconded to appoint a,
On this one.
a subcommittee to investigate a dog park
with Eric and
with Eric and
Cricket.
Cricket. And other
recruiting
people if they may
outside people.
find
Um,
amenable to that.
Curtis,
Well, okay, we don't,
You don't,
investigate.
this is not appointing, it's recruiting.
I know, but I have to remember his name. Remember, I'm the oldest one here.
so is
And
there
you're
any-
going to research and
I've actually done some of that already.
outline some of the issues, possible solutions, so issues and possible solutions.
So is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. New business.
Contact, give people Cricket or Eric's contact information.
We can do that.
Yeah, 'cause 2 years ago, I went around door to door and had people sign a petition for a dog park, and I had 5 pages.
Well, there's
There's
interest, there
interest.
you go.
Yeah, there is
I can see the value, I just think it's gonna be hard. I really can see the value of a dog park, I just
Just be a
have,
lot of groundwork.
yeah, the whole,
But I think we've got some
Place is-
determination sitting at the end of the table that'll
That's right,
get it done, so that's what we need.
okay.
Okay, funding requests and grant opportunities.
Wouldn't that fall into the tree planting with Eric and Brent?
here too.
That would be one of them, yeah. I mean, are there other things, I mean, as we're looking ahead, are there other things that we are looking
Well,
at?
I think if we're going to pursue the ice skating, I think as a committee, why wouldn't we utilize that time? I mean, we'd have to talk to Kyle, but to utilize the building down here and make some money with the ice skating rink.
One of the other options that I know has been, it's kind of an old school method for farmers, but it hasn't really been brought up in recent years, but when I realize the downturn in the ag economy, farmers have kind of, closed their checkbooks, but figured out again that farmers can donate just loads of grain and not just, write a check, because then you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone, you're not adding to your, taxable income, and 2, it's, you can write it off, so I know that's what, instead of just writing checks out this year like my family does for donations, they just are gonna donate grain to different entities around town. And I think that's one thing, I know we're a small, we haven't made I wouldn't say we've made our mark yet on the community, but I think we've got a good start. And, especially by this time next year, that might be something we want to consider.
And even a half a load of grain would be really nice start-up money for us.
It would, even at today's prices, so.
So you said it doesn't add to their taxable income, and what's the other benefit to the
And they can
farmer?
write it off on top of that, you just, get a slip, so.
I know in Nemaha, our Methodist church has always had what they call the Lord's Acre. So you put up this sign in your field somewhere, and you're donating the grain from that acre of land. I believe that's more than half a load, I don't know. But that's what they did too. And then it was a
Depends
way
on
to
the size of
promote
the
their
load.
cow. Pardon?
Depends on the size of the,
Oh, okay.
But anyway, we don't need to spend a lot of time on that, but that's just
Yeah.
something that,
That's a cool
if
idea.
we're out talking to people, remind them of that, that's an option, so, but obviously always consult your accountant.
Then what do we do with the grain?
They
Then you
sell
just
it.
sell it.
You just sell
Just
it.
tell the co-op will say, hey,
Oh,
and of course
Okay.
you'll know.
and basically the farmer is probably going to deliver it to the co-op. by the
The
end of
co-op, yeah, it's a
I mean,
seamless transition.
They will
Yeah.
deliver it to the co-op and the co-op cuts the check to the organization.
Exactly, yeah, very easy for all parties involved,
Yep,
so,
and if they're running out of space, what are they gonna do with it anyway?
exactly.
Just kind of a side note in terms of funding request, grant opportunities. I know what the Community Foundation is starting its kind of end of the year reminder that you can make donations to the community foundation as you're preparing for your taxes and some of those kind of things too. That information should be hitting the mail in the next 2 or 3 days with some information about the community foundation. And one of the goals of Hometown Pride is wealth retention in the community. Georgia can probably speak to this better than I can, but I mean, in the next.
Those are endowment gifts.
Those are endowment gifts, or they can be actually more specific gifts too. I mean,
Yeah, they can be designated.
but the amount of wealth in Iowa that is going to leave the state over the next 10 to 15 years is astronomical. I've heard everything from 10 to 25, sometimes 30% of the wealth
I've got a chart.
in Iowa. Depends on who's projecting and what's happening, how much of it's going to leave the state. And that's one of the underlying things of Hometown Pride is trying to, you know, if we got 1% of the value of the farmland that was sold and went to relatives out of the area, we would have some amazing things happening in the community.
Yeah, that's the
When's the
concern, is
trial?
as land is sold or passed on, that now that income or wealth that's produced from the land doesn't come into the local bank anymore. It doesn't get spent in the local town. You know, if the rent check is going to California, it's not circulating in the economy here anymore. So you're losing that natural economic benefit. And then, of course, we do have some very generous farmers that help out their towns quite a bit too, and a lot of times you lose that too.
And business people, it's just, I mean, that's one thing I think as a committee we should really kind of keep in mind that, you know, I mean, I sit on the community foundation board, and that's one reason I brought it up, because I mean, it's, the foundation was started because Paul and Vivian McCorkle graciously donated $100,000 to be used for maintaining Kids World. Now, the foundation is close to $250,000, which is a little bit shy of that, but I mean, it's,
And they just spend the income or whatever every year, they don't spend the principal.
They spend the interest on it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
the community foundation, that isn't totally true, in that some things are given as specific gifts that can be in and out. I mean, we've done some things, for example, with the planning and zoning beautification effort. We received gifts for that went back out again. But it was one way to make them tax deductible for people.
Okay, if you want the endowment tax credit that's a refundable credit that goes
Right.
beyond your income, then it has to be
And then it has to be the Endow Iowa, do people know what that program is? In Endow Iowa, you get 25% of your donation is written off of your Iowa income tax. So if you give a $10,000 donation, $2,500 of that comes straight off of your income tax.
And it's refundable, so if you don't owe $2,500 in taxes, you get a check back from the state for the difference.
And that's what this Endow or.
Endow Iowa tax credit.
We do have funds in the Des Moines Community Foundation, which are an Endow Iowa foundation.
Yeah.
So, and then if you take what you would get for writing it off of your federal income tax, depending upon your tax bracket, you can do a $10,000 donation for under $5,000.
I mean, your actual expense, because you're getting the, and it's
Would-
not widely publicized, but it's getting more well-known, I think. And the state legislature has to allocate that money in the budget because they're not getting the taxes on that money, and then because it's refundable, they're responsible for covering that expense. So there's a ceiling every year. So once, it's kind of like first come, first served, so if enough people apply for that by, say, September, and they're at the top of the allocation, no one else can use it for that year. You have to wait for the next year.
But I know a couple organizations I work with have really benefited greatly by the Endow Iowa
And-
tax
Yeah,
credits.
and we can help promote that for the whole county foundation.
So is that, you give it to the actual county foundation, or you give it to an entity in Des Moines and you explicitly?
We have, it would be gifted, we could gift it through the county the community foundation, and we would need to put it into our account in the Des Moines Community Foundation.
Okay. That's the Sac Community Foundation or Sac County?
Sac City Community Foundation.
He's talking, there's two different ones.
There's a
He's
Sac County
talking the
Foundation.
city,
There's a city
There's
one,
a city one and then there's a county one.
there's a
Yes,
city one and
and
there's a
they're
county
different.
one. They are
Okay,
different.
The city one's just, okay.
And, I mean, that was a shameless commercial, I'm sorry, but I spent
well, it's education too, a lot of people
I-
don't
I
know
spent-
it.
I had no idea about it.
I spent over an hour addressing envelopes this afternoon to people, realizing that hand-addressed envelopes really are more apt to get opened than things with a little
Mhm.
sticker on them. And,
And I mean, that could be a
My dog's
project
so
for us
long.
too, or we could pitch it to the Sac County Endowment
No,
or
it's not
whoever
gonna-
to, bring somebody in to talk about that to your accountants and your bankers. Cause I know they've done that in Fremont County with Hometown Pride, they've brought people in to educate the people that are talking to, you know, lawyers, accountants, bankers, the people that would be suggesting to people that maybe this would benefit them.
One thing I gotta say that, and I don't know who on earth would put this together, but for the people that wanna give, and I do think there's a lot of folks out there that would, to a local, but we don't know, especially when it comes time for year end, for us to write out things like donations like that, we don't know which is what, or who uses what money for what. Is there a page, is there a flow chart, I'm a flow chart guy, that says, okay, this organization number one is this, they do this with the money that they receive, or, you know, but all local, I'm saying. You know, you talk about the Sac City Community Foundation,
Sorry.
is that different from the community chest, is that, you know,
Yes.
and I realize that, but there's a lot of folks that, I know, I've gotten questions from a lot of other older farmers that ask me about local organizations that,
I can talk to Brandy Ripley too. I think she was doing it just for Sac County, but I think she was trying to get together like a catalog or a list of all the nonprofits in Sac City at least.
yeah,
But
that's
that
what
would be
I'm
a good
talking about.
project
Yeah,
for the county endowment too.
yeah.
Because we
Mhm.
don't have a United Way. We don't have,
yeah.
you know, there's something called Dovia, which is a group of all the nonprofits that you can have in your county.
But even just starting
Yeah.
locally, Sac City, and then.
I mean, yeah, I mean, starting locally, the Sac Community Foundation would be the one that would be probably the closest to an endowment
Okay.
that we have. I mean, most of
But I
the,
get what you're saying. If you wanna give to
Yeah.
kids, if you wanna give to healthcare, if you wanna give
and
to
with the,
old people, whatever.
and with the Community Foundation, you can give and you can also designate.
That's
I-
really what it
I
goes
mean,
to.
there are various funds that are within there, for example, Doug Shaw has
Yep.
given
Yeah.
quite a bit of money to us. And part of it, he wants the interest of a part of it to fund the all-school reunion every 5 years. So I mean, that's one of the things he wants, and that's where it comes from. The McCorkle monies, only 5% of it can be used, but they knew that when Kids World was built, that they were going to have maintenance for it. So I know that, like, last month, we approved paying for carpet cleaning for Kids World. Okay, that's fine, you know, I mean, it's things that, but that's what it's used for, and you can designate within whatever's there, but the earnings will be used toward this amount of stuff.
What's John Chris's then? Is that an endowment?
In limbo.
Yeah, well, I know it's a limbo.
don't know.
They're
John,
having a jury trial
Okay, can
on it.
I just summarize real quickly? So as we're talking about earning money and looking for grants, one of the things we might try to start or find a partner to look on is a catalog of 501c3s and other nonprofits in the city and the county. So if people want more information, and maybe, I don't know how personal it would be, but would we want to try and present to lawyers or tax accountants or bankers and then list people who are aware, or would you distribute this information to all lawyers, tax accountants, and bankers? Because people kind of have their own already,
Mhm.
and they wouldn't really want to be
Yeah.
switching.
I would just say do it to all.
Okay.
So that's another project that we can kind of put, yeah. Okay, are there any other things for committee forum here?
One quick thing, but I don't wanna do it this year, or at least seeing as that we've only got 2 months left. In the media lately, there's been a lot of, well, flat out, there's been a lot of scrutiny against law enforcement. But there's also been a lot of folks showing support to our law enforcement, especially here, Fort Dodge, I even think Rockwell City, Project Blue Light, Iowa. I think after the holidays get over and stuff, maybe that's something we could look into. I think there'd be a lot of folks that would be interested in that. Obviously, we'd have to come up with a way to get a hold of a bunch of blue lights, you know, and get the right amount. And obviously, it wouldn't cost anybody who would want to come get them, they would put them on. So, but that's just something to keep in mind. I don't know if we want us to get, you know, put our name behind it, but one way or the other, I was going to start something in that aspect.
That'd be good.
Yeah, I think that, I've heard that on the radio too, and that National Night Out, I thought about that too, but whatever that group is, they give you the blue lights, it sounds like, if you get a
Project Blue
hold
Light
of
Island,
them.
if you go
Yeah.
around. It's a retired cop out of somewhere,
Yeah.
Charles City or something.
Yeah.
But that's something I'll look more into, and
May
I didn't
come
know
back.
if that was gonna be enough, if there was enough
Sure.
interest here to look
I
on
think
that.
so.
Okay, that's it.
Sounds good.
So we need to get, compile a list of cell phone numbers.
Okay, so do you want me just to email everyone else's contact information to you all?
Yeah.
And will you cross your heart and hope to die that you'll put it in your phone so you have it when you need it? Thank you.
Okay, do you just want to write it down, or do you want to just?
No, I'll
She
email it
has
to
it.
everybody.
She has
She-
I have them all.
You have it all, oh, okay, all right.
I have them all.
All right, okay, gotcha. I thought you said you needed them, sorry. Oh.
But I don't feel like I should only be the only one that has that information. I want you all to be having it and using it.
Okay, our next meeting date and location would be, date would be December 8th, I guess, would be our next meeting date, which is the second Tuesday in
Same time, same place?
same time. I would, it's kind of weird open meeting. If people want, it's December, I'd be happy to do wine and cheese and hors d'oeuvres or something at my house. We could meet there if you want to do that, if that's agreeable.
That sounds good to me.
He's a good cook.
It'd be a change of pace, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I live at 212 South 8th Street.
Well, why not some of us bring stuff
You
too?
can,
We could
yeah.
all bring something.
Nah,
Are you sure?
I'm fine,
I can bring.
I'm fine.
His menus are coordinated like by color
I'm
and
probably
theme.
just
and-
going like.
But, and it will be an open meeting and anybody is welcome to come. I mean, that's, but we can, but maybe a little more informal, just kind of sit and chat and do whatever we need to do. And also just maybe have kind of a celebration of 6 months of hometown pride in Sac City. while we're at it.
And the next day, I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to Des Moines.
Okay.
I think I'm spending these next 2 weeks in Des Moines between different appointments.
Oh.
So is there any other business before we proceed to adjourn?
Pediatric.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's
We
carried
moved
and
and seconded to
Brent.
adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
all.
for coming.